Hey there, this is Teacher Podcast, episode 324, Have versus Having. You read English, you understand English, you've been learning for years, but when it's time to speak, your mind just freezes and the words don't come out. If that sounds familiar, you're not alone. My name's Ola and this is Teacher Podcast. I'm here to help you finally speak out loud. This isn't about perfect grammar or fancy vocabulary. This is about your voice, your words, your real English. Before we start, let me talk to you for a moment, not as a teacher, not as someone explaining grammar, but just as a person who knows exactly what you're dealing with. If English tenses feel like your biggest problem, you're not imagining it. Okay? You can know the rules, you can understand them when you read, you can even do exercises and get them right. And then you open your mouth and everything disappears. You hesitate, freeze, and start guessing. Or you choose to stay quiet because staying silent feels safer than saying the wrong thing. And here's the thing no one really tells you. This is not because you're bad at languages, it's not because you're lazy, and it's definitely not because you haven't done enough grammar exercises. The real problem is that Polish and English think about time in completely different ways. English is built on ideas about experience, results, and perspective. Polish simply doesn't work like that. Some of these ideas don't exist in Polish at all, and some exist, but in a totally different form. So when you're trying to choose a tense, you're not choosing between grammar rules, you see? You're trying to translate a way of thinking that doesn't translate. That's why apps don't really help. Because, I'm not anti-technology, not at all. There is potential there. But none of the popular apps were designed for Polish speakers. None of them explain what actually clashes between Polish and English, and neither does learning with a native speaker who doesn't know Polish and can't see what's happening in your head. On February the 1st at 8 p.m., it's Sunday, I'm running a free live webinar called English Tenses versus Poles, Angielskie Czasy versus Polacy, and I'm not going to give you a miracle method there because those don't exist. But I will show you where the real problem is, why grammar rules alone don't work, and how you can make English tenses finally start to feel logical instead of stressful. I'll show you the Polish code behind English tenses, and I'll also convince you that there aren't really 12 tenses, there are just 2. And once you see that, the whole perspective on grammar changes. If this sounds like something you need, not more rules, but clarity, you can sign up at teacherola.com/Polacy. teacherola.com/Polacy. All right? Now, let's get into today's episode. The verb have is one of the most flexible verbs in English, but also one of the most restricted. It can behave as a stative verb or as a dynamic verb, depending entirely on meaning and context. This difference determines whether the verb can appear in continuous forms or not. In many situations, maybe even majority, have is stative. And stative verbs describe states, conditions, relationships, or possession. When have is used in this way, it cannot be used in any continuous tense form, so it cannot take ing ending. When have refers to possession of things, people, or abstract ideas, it is stative. For example, I have a job. She has a passport. They have several employees. In these sentences, have expresses possession or a stable relationship. Even if the situation feels very current or relevant right now, the verb does not describe an action. For that reason, forms like I'm having a job or the company is having employees are not correct. The same stative behavior applies to abstract concepts. I have an idea, so it doesn't have to be object like passport. He has an account in the bank, or she has a suggestion. Even though ideas or suggestion may appear suddenly, English still treats them as abstract states, not actions. The continuous form is not possible here. Okay, have is also stative when describing qualities or characteristics. He has strong leadership skills. She has a lot of confidence. They have excellent communication abilities. Again, these are states, these are qualities which don't change that fast, right? Even if they change, they are not activities. Time expressions behave in the same way. I have a few minutes before the meeting. We have plenty of time today. So here have describes availability, but again, it's not action. Health conditions that describe a general state are also stative. She has a headache, or she has a back problem. Whether it's happening at the moment of speaking or whether it's a general health condition, you can use the simple form because it just means possession of an abstract problem. Abstract, I mean not physical, non-physical. He has a headache. Even if it's happening right now, you can use the simple stative form. That's okay. But have does not always behave this way. In certain contexts, it becomes dynamic. When have refers to an event, an experience, or an activity, it can be used in continuous form. Or if you simply want to highlight that it's happening right now and you want to focus somebody's attention on the action itself. Let's take a look at some ideas, some examples. So one common dynamic use involves events or planned activities, but the key here is that it is your plan. We're having a meeting this afternoon. They're having a conference next week. In these cases, have refers to an event that takes place over time because it functions dynamically. Both simple and continuous forms are possible depending on perspective. If you want to highlight these are your plans, use a continuous dynamic form, having. Experiences are another context in which have becomes dynamic. She's having a difficult week. They're having a great time on their trip. So it's about experiences. They are experiencing a difficult week or a great time on the trip. Here, the speaker presents the situation as something unfolding. It's happening right now. Meals and drinks are very clear example of dynamic have as well. For instance, I'm having lunch right now. I'm having a coffee with a colleague right now. In these sentences, have means eating or drinking, which are actions. This is why the continuous form is possible. Next, health-related expressions. They can also become dynamic when they describe something urgent or happening at the moment, or if you simply want to highlight this feeling right now. She's having trouble breathing. It is important to separate all of these uses from having as a gerund. The form having does not automatically signal a continuous tense. It can function as a noun, like cooking, meaning gotowanie, not, as a noun. For instance, nothing compares to having free time. This sentence is correct because having refers to the general experience or concept, not action in progress, but it's a noun. And another example, I enjoy having quiet mornings. Or having no clear plan can be refreshing. In these examples, having names an experience rather than describing something happening now. So the crucial difference between Polish and English lies in how English forces us to categorize situations grammatically. English requires a decision about whether have describes a state, an event, an experience, or an activity. Polish leaves this distinction to context and vocabulary, not verb form. This is why we struggle with I have versus I'm having. The issue is not the tense itself, but the underlying meaning assigned to the situation. And understanding that distinction is the key to using one of the most common English verbs accurately and confidently. Now, let's make you speak. Time to open your mouth and move your tongue. Listen and repeat out loud. Let's go. They have several employees. They have several employees. He has strong leadership skills. He has strong leadership skills. We have plenty of time today. We have plenty of time today. He has a headache. He has a headache. We're having a meeting this afternoon. We're having a meeting this afternoon. She's having a difficult week. She's having a difficult week. I'm having lunch right now. I'm having lunch right now. He's having a coffee with a colleague. He's having a coffee with a colleague. She's having trouble breathing. She's having trouble breathing. Nothing compares to having free time. Nothing compares to having free time. And that's a quick wrap up of episode 324. If today's episode gave you a clearer view of how English really works behind the scenes, I'd love to invite you to my upcoming webinar, English Tenses versus Poles, Angielskie Czasy versus Polacy. We'll explore the most common tense mistakes Polish learners make, when they happen, and how to finally choose the right tense with confidence. Just a short practical session designed to help you connect the dots once and for all. The webinar takes place on Sunday, the 1st of February at 8 p.m. You can sign up at teacherola.com/Polacy. That's all from me for now. Don't forget to head to teacherola.com/324 and grab your free worksheet. It'll help you revise the key phrases from this episode. And if you want to practice speaking regularly, new groups are forming inside my Voice Loop program. You can check all the details and sign up at teacherola.com/grupy. Thank you so much for listening. Stay fearless, take care, and say it out loud. I'm your teacher, Teacher Ola, and you've been listening to Teacher Ola Podcast. Bye for now.